Well, we have a good show for you tonight because we have entertainment news, but before all that, we have hanging out on the phone lines, author of Fear, Feel It, Face It, and Grow, Mark Edick. I guess it's... Can we go to him right now? All right. And Mark, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Well, Mark, thank you for being on the program tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, Mark, tell me a little bit about your book and how you came to write it.
Well, I've been in recovery for about 10 years, and this is a big thing that I've been working on in my course of recovery. Fear seems to be something that a lot of people struggle with in recovery and out of it, but especially in the recovery community. So I took a serious look at it, and I've had one chapter in my first book, a short chapter on fear, and I thought, that's such a big thing. I need to expand upon it. So I ended up writing a book about it.
So you already wrote a book about recovery, and now you're writing something a little bit more broad, basically on the topic of fear, which is important to the recovery community, but also for everyone.
Yeah, the first book was called Becoming Normal, and an ever-changing perspective, and it was, in that book, I have a short chapter about fear, and when I reread that book after it came out, which is actually kind of a unique experience to read my own book, but when I reread it, I thought that chapter seems too short for that topic, and I started putting some notes together, and the next thing I knew, I had an outline for fear.
So your experiences, of course, the recovery kind of led you to this, but fear is something we all experience. How now? This book is kind of about your dealing with it and subduing it.
Yeah, learning to deal with fear. It's something that basically I spent a big chunk of my life running away from, and I spent a lot of that time running away from fear into alcohol and drugs because I used those things to not feel the fear, not deal with the fear, what have you. And so when I got into recovery, one of the biggest issues I had to deal with was I was afraid of a lot of things that were pretty simple things in life. So how do you overcome the fear that you have of some things that are pretty normal part of everybody else's life, and then tackle things that are even bigger than that? I mean, public speaking, this is a big deal. To be on live radio is kind of it can be intimidating, and I did a live TV show not too long ago. Scary things, but they don't intimidate me like they would have even just a few years ago.
So you still face difficult situations, but you're handling them very differently.
Absolutely, and I think everybody does that. We all have things that we deal with, whether we're in recovery or don't have alcohol or drug issues or gambling or food issues or whatever they may be. Everyone has things that they're afraid of, and I'm just hoping that some of the things that I've done and laid out in this book can help people to overcome those things, to learn to go ahead and feel the fear and face it, and use that experience to grow.
So really, you're talking about the growth process that comes out of the fear, because without it, you might not necessarily grow from your experiences.
Right. Well, it's like the old I don't know if it's a parable or just a saying or what, but the old man says, "I have two dogs that fight in my head," and the young man says, "Well, which one wins?" And the old man says, "The one I feed the most." So, do I want to feed my courage or do I want to feed my fear? And one of the funniest things, I say funny because it's so simple, and yet I never got it until it was pointed out to me, is that I always thought courage was the absence of fear. And so I thought in order to have courage, I had to not be afraid. And what I've learned is that, courage is to go ahead and be afraid and still do the right thing. Courageous people feel fear. They just they don't let it paralyze them and stop their process and stop their progress.
So fear is not something that you want to get rid of or need to get rid of. It's just something that you have to learn to work with and not necessarily listen to all the time.
Right. Well, it's part of the process. It's part of pretty much every process that we do. Life is a process of processes, and anything can be broken down. I went back to school in my mid-40s and late 40s, and when I went back, it was intimidating to stop and think about this huge process of going back to school, getting a degree, blah, blah, blah. Well, I broke that down and decided that really all I need to do right now is go enroll. And then the first semester, I got all these syllabi from all these classes, and I went, I'll never get all this work done. And I ended up breaking it down into a weekly thing and even into a daily thing of, well, I can write 2 papers and read 5 chapters in a week. I can do that. Okay, well, that breaks the fear down as I break the process down. So, fear is just part of the process, and I've learned how to break that down by making each mountainous process into something smaller. And I've also learned how to turn fear into a tool that I can use to help me move things along too. There are ways that I can use it to be my friend.
So how would you utilize fear as a tool?
Well, I can help it. I can use it to help me realize when I need to stop and consider my options. Basically, the fight or flight thing. There's not so much in society anymore that causes the real flight, or fight or flight is it's an outdated thing. The way society is now, we don't need that as much, and so we get it. For me, I got confused. I'd always run. I would run emotionally away from a situation that I didn't need to run away from. And so when I feel fear starting to bubble up in me, I can acknowledge it. If I'm willing to feel it, I can acknowledge it and say, okay, I'm afraid of something. What is it I'm afraid of? And I can use that time I can use the fear to make me take time to pause and acknowledge whatever it is that I'm confronting. And whether is it an emotional thing or is it a physical thing? Now, sure, somebody pulls a gun out, I don't need to stop and think. I just need to run, or whatever the situation may be like that. But there are a lot of times that I can feel fear start building in me, and if I acknowledge it and allow myself to feel it, then I can use it as a warning sign to tell me that, things are a little bit out of whack here. Now let me take a look at it, see what I can do.
So it can be a warning sign that helps you realize that there might be more of the situation that you're not noticing, and you can stand back and have a look in those situations. Right. So obviously, fear is often synonymous with the concept of worry, and we spend a lot of time thinking about things that might happen or could happen. How have you, what has been the outcome of you working with your fear and kind of subduing it? How is worry, what have you done with worry as well?
Well, there's a saying that goes, if you worry, why pray? And if you pray, why worry? And I actually, I have a chapter about time and worry And I do my best not to waste too much time on worrying anymore, because it's such a negative thing, and really worrying is either in the past or in the future. I'm either worrying that someone will find out about something I've done in my past, or I'm worrying about something that may or may not happen in the future. And so I try really hard not to spend too much time there. It's just, I find it to be kind of an unproductive use of my time and energy. But there's actually a chapter in the book called Time and Worry, Chapter 7.
Great. So you put some thought into that. So, but you mentioned about prayer and in the beginning of that. But how has faith been helpful to you in your journey?
Well, my faith has grown tremendously, and I've taken some classes in several different religions. I took one class that was Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and then I took another one on the Eastern religions, which was pretty much all the isms: Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, and even Jainism and what have you. So I've used aspects of all of those to help me grow an understanding of a power greater than myself that can help me deal with things. And I've come to see, I don't think there are really coincidences anymore in life. I see things as more of a bigger picture, and I'm just doing what I can. I try to do my part and let other people do their part, and try and watch it all come together. And the more I look at things that way, the more I see that to be true, or at least I see it happening.
So it's been a healthy part of your experience.
Absolutely, and it's kind of self-reinforcing. You know, I look for it, I see it, and therefore I believe it to be more true.
So we're almost out of time, Mark, but for people who are interested in finding more information, do you have a website for the book?
Well, they can go to Central Recovery Press. That's my publisher, centralrecoverypress.com. And they have information there on both of my books as well as other books. You can find my blog there as well as other authors that they have. They have blogs for. You can buy my books at anywhere books are sold, or from my publisher, centralrecoverypress.com.
So people can find more information there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they can Google it as well and find information that way. So again, the name of the book is Fear, Feel It, Face It, and Grow. Mark, if people could leave this interview with just one idea, what would you like them to leave with?
You can do anything you want to do, as long as you're willing to do what it takes to get it done.
Well, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you, Victoria.
Once again, the book is Fear, Feel It, Face It, and Grow. Mark Edick, thank you so much. And if you can just hang on the line for a sec. And is it time for a few more words from WDVR's Community Bulletin Board with Vinnie Davis?